Hi everyone, I'm really excited to be here. And yeah, first let's check our connection with Stockholm office. Okay, let me check that I did everything right with audio. Okay, so let me introduce our SRE manager at Electrolux with heavy experience in software development, DevOps, SRE, platform engineering, Gang.
Yeah, hi, good morning, everyone. So, staying in Stockholm, couldn't fly to Prague this time, but nice meeting you here online.
Okay, thank you, Gang. And my name is Kristina. I'm SRE product owner. And do you have such a role in your team? Wave to me if you have. Yeah, one. Okay, great. Yay, there is a few. Okay, hi. So let me share a short story with you. So recently there was a meetup from one Swedish software development company in Stockholm. And yes, we have more than just one Spotify in software development in Sweden. And they shared their journey, and there was one slide where they showed their organizational setup. And there were many product dev teams on the top, like the team which develop product features for mobile, for their website. And on the bottom, there was only one team, SRE infrastructure team. And there was a question from the audience, why? And they said that this is actually enabling function, and this team does not have a client. But we do. And at Electrolux, we treat our developers as a client, as a consumers. And who they are if not our clients? If you're a DevOps engineer or SRE engineer, you open your laptop and you have already received many messages, direct messages in Slack or tickets from your developers, and they asking for some support, like to create a new infrastructure for their services, or to provide some guidance how to set up EKS and Lambda if they need to communicate, or just simply ask you to grant permissions, right? So sometimes they are happy, our developers, sometimes they are not. And my goal is to keep them happy, and everything with what we do with my team is actually targeting developer experience. So our organization inside of Electrolux called Digital Product Organization. It's the place where connectivity started and being developed. And by connectivity, I mean Internet of Things. So when you imagine the future, you usually think about how your home will look like, how technologies will be integrated in your daily lives. And if you watch the movie, like the clothes can be the same, but there will be always microwave which can cook you the meal in 1 minute. Probably we still need to wait for that microwave, but we have, for example, that oven, and you can place a piece of the meat or vegetables and inside of the oven, and camera will capture the image, send it to the internet for recognition, and then propose you the cooking mode, temperature, duration, and this proposal will be by voice, and you will reply to your own by voice. So yeah, to develop all possible and impossible use cases in IoT, we have in our digital product organization firmware team, which make our brain of our appliances smarter. We have a team of backend engineers. They develop our connectivity platform. And we have a mobile team to make the app more convenient to the clients. And we, of course, have a SRE team. So we have a multi-regional setup. We currently launched in over 60 countries. We support more than 20 languages. And if you're having your first day at Electrolux as a developer, you can be kind of overwhelmed by this. Because to address all challenges in IoT, we need we have that work environment. Yeah, so you are familiar with all of this, right? Okay, let's check another thing. So if your developers faced or facing something from the left column, sorry, right, left, what is left for you? Yeah, from that column. Raise your hand. I just need to know how many people has the same challenges as we are. Okay, great. Keep it, please keep it, don't put it, yeah, okay. So, and if you're a SRE engineer and you are facing something from this column, raise your hand. Okay, very good, okay. If you have both hands raised, you can applaud to you. We feel you, so we face the same challenges. And that's actually became our start point to make developer experience better. So we all familiar with a very good book from the Google about SRE set of practices, and we ask ourselves, like, what can be the first challenge to address with this? How to implement it? So on top of this work environment that we have, on top of the all manual work, we also need to put some effort to actually implement something new. And we decided to compare approaches, like classic approaches, how to implement a SRE set of practices. And for the first one, where you need, there's maybe less effort, I don't know. But for the first one, you need to educate your developers to be focused not only on the writing the code, but also on the way how they deliver that code, how their services monitored, how they provision their infrastructure for their services. So, and this one, when you actually can hire SRE engineer in each team, or sometimes even more than one in one team, which sounds quite expensive, but I believe money is not the issue here, because it's quite hard to find the right person for the team and like with the right qualification, right? So, and another issue here, it's not really scalable. So we decided to go with the first approach. And here we need some history, Gang, so I will hand over to you.
Yeah, thank you, Kristina. So yeah, I can describe a bit of our history. So as you can see, we started in a few years ago with only like 2 SRE team members in the Europe. And today in total, we have around 6 to 7 SREs in 2 regions, Europe and APAC. And if you look at the graph, this is how we grow today. So the blue one shows the number of developers. Until today, we have around 200 developers, and the white one is our products. So we have already launched a few products in our market today. And looking at the SRE team, we still keep like a low number of developers, SREs, comparing with the number of developers. And so how we survived with high growth. And we can go to next page. Yeah, so we started initially with a platform, and then which is requested by our external stakeholders. And the main reason is they would like to know our system, is it working or not working? And this is a very simple question from them, but it's not so simple for us to figure out. So we started to provide a platform, and then they started to use it, and then which contains very, very like little features. And later on, we have more features, and we started to put all automations into this new platform. And then once our developers, they started to use this platform, they see the benefits of this platform, and they started to add new automation into the platform as well. And the platform that we adopt today is based on Backstage, as maybe all of you already know from Spotify. And we brand our platform as Phoenix, which comes from the book, the Phoenix project. And here you can see this is our logo. And today we have different features offered by this platform, and the developers, they are contributing to this platform as well. And here is some examples from this Phoenix platform. The first one is IoT dashboard. We call it IoT dashboard, and this is from our IoT backend team. And the main purpose of this dashboard is to provide our stakeholders in different regions. They can do the troubleshooting when they get questions from our consumers. And the other one is from our mobile app team. So we have backend. We also have different kind of apps. And this plugin is used by them to manage their releases, so they can manage different operating system app release and different branding as well, like Electrolux Frigidaire. And from SRE team, we also offer different plugins here. For example, Service Catalog is a plugin that we offer to centralize all the internal tools. So when developer join, they can go to Service Catalog and they can see all the tools we have today. And they are all integrated with SSO. And the second one is a Cost Explorer. The main purpose of this is we find that it's really a big challenge for us to see all the cost information. So we started to develop our own Cost Explorer. Now it shows the cost information from different clouds, for example, AWS, Azure, and some other third parties. And there are a few as well. So this is a brief, it's like our journey. So we started with our own automation, and which is from SRE team, because SRE team needs this automation to provide faster support for our developers. And then we put the automation together within the platform, so it's more like a self-service for the dev teams, and we try to cover the full life cycle of the software development. But then afterwards, we realized that this is actually introducing another issue, because with the number of growth of plugins, we couldn't. It's also a bit hard to developers to understand. Okay, which plugins I should use for what purpose. So we started to look into what other companies they are doing, and then we see some companies they are developing their own internal developer platform, IDP. And we look into different options, and we realized this is actually what we need. So we started to implement our IDP as well. And to start with the first MVP prototyping, the requirement is coming from our consumers, our developers. We started to check our Slack channel, because we usually communicate with Slack. And based on the number of requests, we see, okay, most of the requests are based on infrastructure provisioning. For example, maybe some developer needs a new database or new EKS cluster, and for some reason they need to reach out to us to ask for this new infrastructure, or maybe track the status. So this is our MVP. And as you can see, developers through this new platform, we provide different templates for the infrastructure. And through this template, we can kind of ensure the availability of the provisioning the resources. We also cover observability, security, and cost as well. And once the infrastructure is up and running, the dashboards are auto-created as well. So developers, they don't need to worry about most of the SRE elements in this infrastructure. They can just request with different configuration, and then from the code, we will ensure everything as much as possible. And then based on after we launched the infrastructure, we see that the developers, they are happy with this. So we started our phase 2, which is focusing on service onboarding. And it's kind of the same approach. We provide different templates for different kinds of services, because we know what kind of service we have today in our org. And then we also provide additional integration, for example, integration with our CI/CD, and then alerting, so Kubernetes integration as well. So once the new service is created, developers, they actually got a new Bitbucket repo and with template code, and then they can, once the service has been deployed, they can check, okay, which version is running in which environment, and what about the health status? And if something goes wrong, they will get alerting as well. And once the service is completed, then this is the next thing in our roadmap, which is to cover the API part. Because once the service is up running, usually developers they need to expose some kind of services into internet and with API. So from the API definition or API templates, we will ensure that people can, in the future, they can use IDP to publish their new APIs and also to monitor the APIs as well.
Yeah, I think you need to summarize what we have, right?
Yes. So in the end, we will have infrastructure, services, and API, and this will cover almost like the full life cycle of the user use cases from our developers.
Okay.
Yeah, so once we have introduced this IDP, we actually see the way of working in our org has changed. So you can see in the past, SRE team is kind of like the enabling function, and then developers, they are the product teams. But with the introduction of IDP, now SRE team is becoming a product team as well, because the IDP is our product. And for developers, they interact with IDP in a self-service way. And for SRE team, we support IDP behind the hood, and we don't need to have this direct communication with dev teams.
Okay, but we still have some communication with dev teams. For example, how we do user research. We run surveys where we're asking about our products, like about IDP, for example. We also do interviews with our engineering leads, with our developers. We frequently present our roadmap to gather more requirements. If, for example, we are going to have next releases and there will be those features, so we ask if it's actually what they need. We also do SRE office hours, so instead of having a lot of meetings where they need some guidance from us, we do it one time per week, and we collect all those questions, and we do it in one session to share the knowledge of how it can be done, and also we do recording. And we do Fika talks because we live in Sweden, and Fika talks is basically coffee time when you speak with your colleagues. And we do game days. Like we had one like last month, it was Chaos Engineering Day. So basically what we've done is we released 7 experiments. 7, yeah. And it was based on the real use cases. So, for example, we are having some issue from mobile side or from backend side. And mobile developer, he has no idea how to troubleshoot it because he usually don't touch backend. And through IDP, they can see it because observability already embedded there. So they can check some dashboards, and then they can go to our observability platform and check there. So how we measure the results? How long it will take to identify the issue. So during that chaos day, we actually measured the time. So we know how long it will take to deliver new service or create new resource. It's also, we measure it, but I can share the numbers, of course, but it's much, much faster. It's like these 2 clicks through IDP. What else do we have? We measure the amount of service requests, and we show it in our cost explorer. So it's like one of the important vitals, because developers, they see that manual work is actually costs money, and if they can provide good requirements for automation, then we can automate it. And the most important and I think, the most important one, because it summarized all of we do. It's a good rate of developer experience. So we do surveys, and we do surveys like very blocked by SRE team. And overall, we have very positive feedback here. Okay, Gang, can we...
Yes, so we can now look back into this image again. This is the SRE practices. So we see the challenge of trying to educate or provide training to our developers so they can understand more about SRE. But now through IDP, a lot of things they have been automated already. For example, the metrics and monitoring. This is now covered by IDP when people provisioning infrastructure or releasing services. And change management, that is covered as well. And current performance is covered by IDP and our observability platform. And then the yellow circles that you can see, this is in our roadmap. We will try to cover them in the future. And also regarding the culture part. So IDP doesn't really cover the culture, but we do see a big improvement to our culture after we introduce IDP. And we believe this will actually help us in the future as well regarding moving towards the right DevOps or SRE way.
Yes, so Gang, here.
Yeah, so this is what we are doing now. We are switching from SRE to focusing more on platform engineering. And if we can go back to the subject, it says why we skipped SRE and switched to platform engineering. But actually what we are trying to do is we are trying to adopt platform engineering and try to improve SRE, so we will get a much better consumer experience.
Yes, and to summarize the whole journey, we actually care, like developers, they expect not automation from us. They expect that we will solve their problems. So instead of providing automation and new plugins, we actually think more about their experience. So this is what we learned from this. And yes, we put SRE set of practices into code. And that's it. That's what we've done. Thank you very much. I hope you liked the session.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much. So again, we are in QA session. So if you have a question, just please raise your hand, and so my colleagues will bring you a microphone. Okay, I see several hands.
Hi, Kristina, Gang. Thank you very much for the presentation. It was very, very interesting. I do have a question related to the distributed teams, because you had in the slides that currently there are like 6 engineers in the European Union and 2 or 3 in the APA. So if you have the distributed teams working anywhere in the world, how do you conduct all the sessions related to into the developers' happiness, the open hours, and everything like that? I do understand surveys; it's easy, but the rest, if you could elaborate a little bit more, would be nice.
Yeah,
Thank you.
First of all, Gang, I will reply on the question, but I just wanted to let you know. So the question was about our time zones, and we global company, so we have people and developers in Malaysia, for example, and in Italy and everywhere. And we have also SRE from our team there. So because of time zone, how we work actually. Because surveys, it's understandable, but meetings are not. So I will try to answer. So first of all, in our team, it was a problem, I would say, because I mean, you are doing product brainstorming here in Europe, and then you need to kind of hand over it to your team in Kuala Lumpur. So what we've done is we have like the big mirror board, and we have, I would say, kind of domain knowledges. for example, we have plugin like Cost Explorer, right? And that was built by one SRE in Stockholm. And we have like user onboarding, which we built in Kuala Lumpur. So the definition, the quality definition of those products that you can actually easily contribute. So you don't need any onboarding, you can just go there and you understand what's going on. So we have our Miro board with all connections between it. And we have some time in the morning, so we do meetings early in the morning. So we record meetings, even if everyone is there, just, to recall what was it about. So yeah, that's how we manage it. And the 3 office hour as well, we do it we try to do it earlier, or we try to do recording. So that's how we actually manage it. So people, even if they ask the questions, we answer it them, and then they can watch the video. Gang, do you want to add something here?
Yeah, I think one thing I can mention is, so we also have developers in APAC. So for SREs that is located in APAC, they can work closely with the local dev team. And for EU, our SREs located in EU, we work with the European teams. So in this case, you don't feel like, okay, I'm the only SRE here, no one works with me. So we do have other teams existing there. And another thing is we try to remove the dependency, for example, with each other, because otherwise maybe someone feel like I'm blocked and I have to wait for the other region to wake up. So we try to put tasks into different regions so they can work more like independent.
Yeah, so thank you. It's a very good question because we actually spent a lot of time to set up our way of working. We actually have a big Confluence page with the rules, how actually we work. So it wasn't easy. So it's like another topic for presentation, really, because I have something to say there. Thank you. Any other questions?
My name is Timur. I would like to ask actually 2 questions since I have luxury of having microphone. The first question is, I've seen your Cost Explorer plugin. I'm not sure which exactly, there are plenty of them for Backstage. But do you kind of map the costs associated with a certain product or service? And if yes, do you also add or shared costs? For example, if you have a database that is shared between multiple products, do you also like share the costs between those products? This is the first question. The second question is about user services. You said you're doing that. It's actually pretty easy to do them, but it's actually pretty hard to do them correctly. So when you have started with that, did you have someone with extensive experience with user service, or did you get help with like consultants, or you have internal, user research team or something like that?
Okay. Thank you. So there were 2 questions, Gang. First about Cost Explorer, and second one about user search. So I will try to reply for the first one. Because I really like our Cost Explorer. It was done by our team. And part of aggregating all cloud costs, yes, we do. We have this feature. We can break down by namespace even. So we can allocate the costs by team. And that's how we actually define their budget. So we can share with them, like, this actually, how much you spend. Because in our first version of Cost Explorer, it was like, okay, this is how much our organization spent, and everyone like, okay, so it's not my money, kind of. So yeah, we presented this feature, and for second question, how we do user search, and is someone helping us with surveys? No, we don't have a special person for this. We tried. Maybe we made some mistakes in the beginning, but the more you do, then better you understand. So actually, you shouldn't ask that way. You should be more accurate with your questions.
Hello, I have a question. You are switching to platform from SRE approach, and how do you contact people the requirements or restrictions of the platform if they want to use something outside of the platform?
Mm-hmm. Okay, understood. Gang, we just had this use case, so I will address this question to you. So we have some restriction, right? Because people use our IDP and they can't go without it, because in IDP, if you provision infrastructure for IDP, you will see it in IDP. But what if people need something, like some exception here? So how do we act if it's something what cannot be done through IDP right now because we don't have such automation?
Yeah, so I can try to answer this. So in general, we have predefined policies for different access. For example, as a developer, maybe they couldn't do much in production, right, because it's restricted. And to get changes into production, and then the only way is you need to do it through code changes, as in Git commit, or you do it through automation, which is provided by IDP. And if, let's say, if there's something that we don't support today, we will evaluate, okay, how long does it take for us to add this new support in IDP? Is it 1 day or 2 days? If yes, then we will provide that support, because that's more like a feature request to IDP. And if we cannot do this today, then we have two options. One is we will provide this kind of support manually through SRE team. So we will apply the changes manually by some SRE. And then we will work with developers together so they can see the changes got rolled into production. And another exception would be we can also grant temporary access so developers can do something, but this will require a certain kind of approval workflow. And once we get approval, then we can also do that. But still, this is the exception, and it's only temporary.
Okay, I think our time is kind of, yeah, but if you do have a question, please ask me during the coffee break. And thank you, Gang, again, and thank you all of you for listening to our talk.
Yeah, thanks everyone.